Hello! How are you tonight? If the rain brings the roof down, does that mean I brought the house down? I hope so. My name's Tim, and I am a physicist. Wow, got some cheers, wow. Usually when I say I'm a physicist, it feels like I'm at an AA meeting, but for scientists, where the first step is to admit that I really like physics. I work at the University of Queensland, and I wanted to start off tonight by asking, how are we enjoying the Pleasure Dome? Did anyone else have to double take when they saw where they were going tonight? I thought we were going to like a fight club for tickle fights, which is really exciting for me because as a physicist, I'm an expert in highly precise tickles. But no, when I usually say I'm a physicist, people dredge up some subterranean school memory that they've repressed, and they imagine a scene like this, and they say, oh, that must be so hard. Oh, you must be so smart. Aren't you 12? And that's fair, but you can be a young physicist. See, I fit right in. I'm happy to say, by the way, that physics today is, we had like one more woman if you took this photo. Yeah. I do dress like a teenager. I haven't changed my haircut in a decade, but I have to compensate for the fact I've been at uni so long. You know, I'm trying to blend in. Actually, I'm a geriatric Gen Z member. You know. I just finished my PhD, and thank you, had to put it in somewhere. I did my PhD trying to help the environment. And as a physicist, you might wonder how I was doing that. Usually we're in a basement somewhere. I was trying to improve the efficiency of computers. And this is an important problem because computers use up a lot of electricity, which we usually get from burning things, and we're using a heck of a lot more of it now with AI. So I'm solving this problem by creating computers that are pretty weird. You know, most computers you've ever used probably look like this. They run on electricity, and that's how they do their thinking. I've created a new kind of computer where we replace the electronic thinking with movement. And if you're thinking that it means it's as big as these dudes, actually, no, it's teeny tiny, just like my attention span. No, we actually use sound waves, we use vibrations. That's right, I did my PhD on vibes. I'm glad people got that. So, I want to tell you how I got into physics. It's a really cute story. I was 8 years old at school camp, basically looked like this. I don't know what the dragon thing is, but I was asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I actually wrote this down. He wants to be a physicist, in third person, as you do when you're young. I actually wrote this. You know, I forgot about it, but I presume that's when I lost free will, so we can skip the rest of the history and get to now. So, a benefit of having a mechanical nanocomputer is, apart from being the perfect accessory to the Pleasure Dome, is that we can do really complex calculations with really low energy cost. And this is important because right now, if you asked for an AI calculation, you're probably sending your data overseas to some big data center. What we would like to do is replace that with keeping your data with yourself on your own personal vibrating computer. And an added benefit is when you go traveling and your bag starts vibrating, you can go, oh, that's just my computer, don't worry about it. So, I want to show you what we've been working on and what the future holds. The first thing to talk about is probably what the heck is actually vibrating. You know, there's many kinds of vibration. We have earthquakes, violin strings, my girlfriend when she drinks coffee. These are all vibrating systems. The one I'm talking about is what physicists would call membranes, but you can just imagine a trampoline, just a lot smaller. How small? Well, the width of this trampoline is about as wide as your hair is thin. And the depth of the trampoline is 1,000 times thinner. So that's about a few hundred atoms thick, or equivalently like the average waist size at Paris Fashion Week. The reason we make our membranes this small is because when you change the scale, the size, you can change what you can do. Who's read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Yeah! So there's a part in the book where this sperm whale comes into existence a few kilometers in the air, and it's just falling, hits the ground. I did the math on this, the physics calculations. It probably hurt. No certainty, but I'm probably sure. Yeah. But if an ant did the same thing, it would be fine. And like, why is that? Well, because size matters. Except in the pleasure dome, every size is perfect here. But in physics, size does matter. You know, the smaller you go, you can do things that you can't do at a larger scale. You know, to stick with the animal examples, if you became teeny tiny, you could stand on water. You could walk on the ceiling. And you could support humongous testicles. So, by going to nanoscale, we get the same kinds of advantages for our nanocomputers. What have we done so far? Well, if I had to do anything actually useful, I'd be an engineer like Anne. As a physicist, I work on proofs of concept. So, what we've made is the smallest possible unit of a computer. So you might have heard computers work in binary. If you're not sure what that means, it means they're kind of like American politicians. So every bit of a computer is either a 1 or a 0, and every calculation you've ever made on a computer fundamentally has been a true or false question. And the bit of the computer that decides whether it's a 1 or a 0 is called a logic gate. Everything's made of logic gates. What we've done is we've made a mechanical logic gate. So the inputs are a bunch of sound waves, vibes, and they go into this membrane that's vibrating in a complicated way, and then the output is a vibration that's big or small, depending on if it's a 1 or a 0. That experiment was a few years ago, and in my PhD I've worked on the other stuff you need to make a full computer, like what's the equivalent of the wires in an electronic computer? In other words, how do you channel the vibes? So I tried Googling this, and they were like, try yoga, meditation, but I've got a much better example for my toy collection. Hot Wheels. So what we do is we trap the vibrations the same way you trap the cars into a racing track. And we do this in a way that loses very little energy, which is what makes the computer so efficient. Here's one that we made. A really cool benefit of working at the nanoscale is that things glow the same way that butterfly wings do when you put a light on them. That's not a joke, that's just really cool. So, in the future we hope to put together our mechanical logic and our sound guides into a commercially available computer. Now, I know I need to address the elephant in the room. This is how I look right now. I'm talking to you about computers, and although I think they're cool, it's not really considered a very sexy topic. Usually. But when you go home tonight and say that you spent the first evening of your long weekend listening to me talk to you about computers, they'll probably imagine this. Or they'll ask you, how tight were the handcuffs? You know, why should we talk about something that's really nerdy? Well, as Bill Gates shows, the nerds inherit the earth, so. Another reason is that computers are in every aspect of your life right now. You've got them in your pockets, got them overnight, they're tracking you, it's kind of scary. But they're not magic, you know? Like every technology, they're just made up by humans and people who claim to be human. So in a decade's time, you're going to have even more computers in your life, and they're going to do even more things, but the technology that makes them work could be even different to what they are now. You know, they could run on light waves, like I work on. They could run on sound waves. They could run on human waves. You know, we don't know what technology is going to win, but there is a global race on to find out. For example, you know, just here in Brisbane, the government's put $1 billion to try and make the world's first quantum computer next to the airport. That's actually strategically positioned to make us look clever when all the athletes come in for the Olympics. But whatever technology wins, you can be sure that in the future, the computers that run your life are being made in the labs today. Okay, no physics talk should end without a bit of a physical exam. So I thought, in homage to the Pleasure Dome, we should all get up and have a tickle fight. Ready? No, the horror on your faces, don't worry. But I will end because it actually is past my bedtime. I hope you learned something tonight. Maybe you learned that physics is cool. Maybe you confirm the opposite. Maybe just remember that a geriatric Gen Z member taught you that the future of computers might just be in the vibe. Thank you very much.